And at this point, there's no highway. The reflector's long gone.
You couldn't even see 36.
The water has come, the full 150 yards out, and a good 10 feet or so up from the road. It went straight up to our driveway. And it eventually rose to where it was only about 4 feet down from the driveway. And it was like class 4, class 5 rapids.
And it was just the two of us for about 24 hours, just kind of going crazy, doing a lot of pacing, sitting around watching the water, watching people's, things kind of float by. It was a very solemn 24 hours.
We're watching propane tanks and cars and pieces of houses. And
all we heard were these kind of sonic earthquake type noises. We didn't know at the time, but when we got up the next morning, right in front of our house, there was a gigantic downed tree intermeshed with a power line and its pole, and then a leaking propane tank had all crashed into a corner of the church. And that's when we said, okay, we got to go, because we can smell that propane. There's an electrical line, there's water. Now it's like, okay, now these trees could fall into our house. Now we really could have a rock slide. Rocks could start. The amount of things that could go wrong at that point, plus our toilet wasn't working, we had no water, we really didn't have any food, and we thought, you know what, let's just go. Let's just leave our stuff and go.
And so we hiked all the way along the ridge, and I was able to come down here, and when I walked in that morning, I could see the wave tops above the floor looking out here, and there was what is essentially a Grand Canyon-sized rapid 15 feet in front of my house, and water going all the way across. It's 500-600 feet over there to the other road. This is just like mind-boggling dreamscape of my house being transported into some other place,
And it's ironic to be there in this cozy little cabin and looking out the front window at the, river, and looking across the street at the river church. And there's 8 to 10 feet of water just barreling right through the church, right over it. And I think that next day, like Friday, we actually hiked off of our property and along the side of the road, because there's like kind of a low point right in front of our house, and if you go far enough up canyon or far enough down canyon, within a half mile or so, the road goes back up, and the water wasn't actually covering those areas.
And as the water got higher and higher, it turns into this thing that's called a debris flow. At some point it starts to pick up sand, and then the sand picks up gravel, and the gravel picks up rocks, and the rocks pick up boulders. It looks like flowing concrete. Well, at that point, it decided it didn't want to go around that bend to the left. It just went straight. And in so doing, it went right through somebody's house, and below that, right through another house. And then there was a willow tree, an ancient, large willow tree that stopped that and bent the river back to the left, and it went down to its old watercourse again. And what helped it was a dump truck from my neighbors was washed down and fetched up against the willow tree, and then this upper neighbor who lost his entire building, that thing ended up piled up against that willow tree too. So there was like a 25-foot pile of boards and debris of every description with a truck buried underneath it, and then this giant willow tree behind that. And it saved 2 or 3 houses down below. And this is the kind of stuff people just can't even process. They're looking at like, what am I seeing here? So we're planting willow trees.
I mean, we had no idea what was going on around the bend from us. The weight of the situation kind of hit us when we did a quick walk and went a few hundred yards, and the road was just completely gone.
And within a day, that one lane that was gone turned into the whole road, and it went from 50 or 60 feet to about 300 yards. And it just all happened so fast. Like that water was coming through there with such force.
We thought, wow, there's not even a sign that says road out.
Just the eeriness of there's no caution tape, there's no orange cones.
And there's not even a person
directing. There is no traffic to direct. There's nothing. It's just there.
So I didn't walk down to Fifth till about noon, and I was just blown away. There's nothing that can prepare you for that. I looked back towards the bridge, and there was a huge lake on this side of the bridge. Water was rushing down 36. It looked like it was a river.
North St. Vrain was coming across the highway through the grocery store, so it was just 100 yards of water instead of two little streams. And it was, rapidly moving and full of debris, and the things that we saw.
Someone's camper, and then you saw a doll, and it was just seeing people's lives all of a sudden discarded.
You'd see like big boxes, like containers.
They just removed a house at the bottom of this hill that was just hanging out over the end of the road. It's just heartbreaking.
The river had widened at least 3 times. It had washed out all the dirt underneath Fred's trailer, and it pushed his trailer over into mine. It basically went like that and crushed the sunroom, buckled the floor. The water pushed mine to the west about 6 feet and to the north about 4 feet. Knocked it off the foundation and everything. Pushed it into Jenna's carport, which is the person who lived right next to me on the other side.